So I have just been thinking how citizens of Nigeria are surviving the economy in Nigeria today because in the last 1 year, things have not been easy. And that's the truth. If we must tell ourselves the truth in this country. If you're saying that everything is fine in Nigeria today, for me, it's either you're playing the ostrich or you're very close to power and everything about it is subsidized from the petrol you drive to your travel expenses, Esta code is paid and all that. And so, for that reason, you're not feeling the impact of what's going on in the country. But for me, and for many other citizens of Nigeria, talking about the ordinary people of Nigeria, honestly, in my own take, okay, things have not really been easy in the country. So I don't know if you have something similar or you belong to the category of Nigerian citizens that are doing excellently well and not feeling the impact of what's going on today.
It has taken a hard toll. It has taken a toll on everyone. Like you said, if you're not feeling it, then you must really be drinking from the bowls of power. And so that just means you're not spending your own money. Because when you're looking at it, everything is on the rise. Every other day you're hearing different prices. You're paying 250 naira for a place you used to pay 100, and by the next day is 300. You don't even have an idea of how much you're going to pay tomorrow. And so I wonder how people who earn a fixed salary are surviving, because you have to constantly adjust and adjust. And it's as if, okay, for instance, you have a market list. You adjust today to meet up with the prices that surprised you. I mean, at this point, it doesn't surprise so much. You adjust today to meet up with the prices you met the last time in the market, and you get there to find out it's higher. And so a degradation of the standard of living day by day.
Honestly, it's not easy for the average citizen of this country. And you're saying the whole truth. You know, you buy something, let's say 10,000 naira today. Tomorrow, when you're going to buy the same thing, it's about 12,000, about 13,000. It keeps going up and up like that. And honestly, people are not smiling. You know, the guys on the streets, they'll say the boys are not smiling. So I just don't understand how, and this must be, I must give credit to the resilience of Nigerian citizens, the ability to be able to, surmount very difficult situations. Because I was talking with a friend the other day, he said, and that friend is not from Nigeria, you know, though he has his business here, but he said that one thing he has seen in Nigeria is the fact that our citizens can take what most other persons cannot take. That resilience and all that. But I told him the resilience comes with so much pains on us. And I have been saying, how is it for the family that has, let's say, 4 children or 5 children, or even 3 children? You have to pay school fees, transport them to schools, feed them, and you, the parent, you still also have to get money to be able to take care of yourself. Honestly, it is not. But what do you think should be done by the government? Is it a hopeless situation for us, or is it something that we just accept the fate? Because I don't see citizens of the country having the best of time in the last 1 year in this country. But like I asked to you, what do you think should be the way forward for us as a citizen? Do we just resign to fate?
At this point, honestly, well, I think one of the things, because at the end of the day, when you look at it, the real problem of Nigeria is the fact that we don't have much that other countries are looking for.
Yeah.
We don't have much to offer other countries, and the little we have is being stifled.
When you say we don't have much, is oil not
Into-
enough?
Isn't it the oil that is punishing us now?
So we're not talking about the oil cross, not the gains of oil.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, when oil is the only thing we have to export, it's we're suffering it. We're suffering that fact. So I think what we need to start doing as citizens of Nigeria, thank God you didn't ask me what the government should do, because as citizens of Nigeria, I think what we should start doing, it's not something that would fix it immediately, but it's something that will fix it for the generations to come. We need to start coming to a place of excellence in everything we do, so that we as citizens can stand out so much that it doesn't matter what the government is doing. We now become what Nigeria has to offer, rather than waiting for things that people could easily sit on the seat of power and corrupt and punish us with.
So let me ask this question, and this question has been bugging my mind over time. Where did we get it wrong? Some years back, it wasn't like this. For instance, I never bought petrol for 1,400 naira a liter. In many years, I have never. But today, you drive into the filling station in Nigeria and you're buying petrol as much as 1,300 naira, 1,200 naira, 1,300 or 400 naira. And I ask, why is it happening this time? Where did we get it wrong? What really happened? How did we get it, to this extent in the country?
Bad governance. in 2 words, bad governance, mismanagement of funds. I've wondered over and over again. Okay, the only resource we really have now is fuel. Why don't we have refineries? I've struggled to understand. And then we see people get into power and all they're really concerned about is their pockets. Not much about building the country. I know one would say, when you get there, because eventually I should get there, when you get there, we'll see how you'll make a difference. I don't think it's that difficult. It's just about the heart. It's about the intentions. Because we can see, for instance, in the government of the day, we can see what the funds are being used for, as opposed to the pressing needs of the people. And then we can see that insensitivity. So where did we get it wrong? Bad governance.
Bad governance. I totally agree with you that leadership has been a major problem for this country. A country that gained independence in 1960, so Nigeria is 60, how many years old now? 64 years old today. So a country that has been in existence as an independent country for 64 years, one would have expected that some basic things would have been gotten by now. But unfortunately, we're still struggling with the very basic things. And this for me is not funny, because this is not a poor country. Anybody that thinks Nigeria is a poor country, that person is not describing Nigeria properly. But I think that Nigeria is, like Toyo has said, Nigeria is a country that is still in search of leadership, true leadership. Because we need the kind of leadership that can transform this country. Talk of mineral resources. You did oil and gas law in the university, right? Now, in the oil and gas law class, you remember that a lot had been said about the mineral resources of this country, oil and gas reserves in this country, the fact that Nigeria has been drilling oil in commercial quantity since the Aloybiri time in the 1950 something and so on. And like you mentioned, how would you explain that a country that has been extracting oil since 1958, because we started extracting oil before independence, since 1958 we've been extracting oil, and that country doesn't have a functional refinery? Honestly, how can one explain this? If not bad leadership and other indices that conspire to make sure that this country, the centrifugal forces fighting Nigeria every day to make sure that we hardly see, a development. I don't know your take on this.
It's just it's just really sad. I think, when we look into it, it's the corruption that has eaten into the fabric of the nation. Because if you ask, why don't we have a refinery? It's simple. The money has been provided over and over again, and people that feel that before you let the refinery work, they should be, but they should have eaten a bulk from the money. They should have been satisfied with the money for the refineries, because how is Nigeria and Dangote? Who would you say is richer?
It should be Nigeria.
Yeah. So how does Dangote in just a few years get to set up a working refinery, and Nigeria in 64 years?
Has not been able. And even the Dangote that has been able to set up a functional refinery, the first in Africa, I would say, to be built by an individual, and the first of that magnitude. And when I was doing research the other day, I saw that Dangote did not just start the refinery today. The refinery project has been on since 2011. So he has used not less than 12, 13 years to make sure that, the construction is superb and we have a world-class refinery in Nigeria. But even then, you just mentioned Dangote. Have you not seen that Nigeria is also, some forces are still making it very difficult for him to kick off the way he would have loved to the extent that NNPC is even saying, you dare not fix the price of petrol. You have to consult us before you can announce the price of petrol. So Dangote owns the refinery as a private entrepreneur, but he doesn't have, he still has some drawbacks here and there telling him, don't do this, don't do that, make sure you consult, and so on. Is that a country that is ready for true development?
It's just really sad. I've always said that the problem Nigeria has is myopia. The people who are trying to loot funds, who are trying to enrich themselves from the nation's treasury, they don't realize, they don't look beyond today. They don't look forward to see the possibility of a country where everything is working and you don't need to have the amount of power you have now to survive. A country where, okay, they've not considered the possibility that what if all the wealth I have amassed gets lost in a day? How will I survive? How will my children survive? What will my grandchildren face? They don't look that far. And then I like to say that in being selfish, they aren't actually selfish enough, because there's a good part to attempting to be selfish. You could be selfish to the point of realizing that if you let this thing work for everybody, it works for you.
Yeah.
If everybody is okay, they don't need to beg you for money. If everybody around you is okay, except you have some inferiority complex you're trying to feed by having everyone depend on you. If you let everyone in the country be able to do what they can do and then make good money from it, and then not have, every other factor cutting it down, then you have a country of giants, and we now become true giants. And with that, at the end of the day, you're proud to be called a Nigerian.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud to be called a Nigerian. I know you're equally proud to be called a Nigerian.
Yes, I am.
And most people are equally proud to be called Nigerians. But you see, the problem that we have, despite the happiness of being a Nigerian, the pride of being a Nigerian, the problem we have are multifaceted. Plenty problems, beginning with leadership. I know that followership also has a problem. Followership is a problem. Okay. But I equally know that leadership is about one of the biggest problems of this country. Why? Because it is the leaders that approve the construction of institutions, that have no bearing whatsoever with the lives of the people. You see elephant projects being constructed here and there, and at the end of the day, the people have no benefit whatsoever from them. So I think Nigeria is still in need, is still in search of true leadership. And I do hope that very soon that we're going to have true leadership. Well, another thing that gets me worried is how parents are going to face the hardship of paying escalated school fees and also taking their children to schools. You know, quite unfortunately, we've not had the kind of school system that parents can truly carry their children and go and keep them in the schools for them to be in boarding houses from, maybe primary school to secondary school. So some parents still believe they have to take their children from the house in the morning, drop them in schools, go back and carry them. How easy would this be looking at the current price of petrol? School has, most schools have just resumed. How easy do you think we're going to have the parents take their children to schools, take them back? At the end of the month, don't you think that each parent may have to spend as much as 200,000 naira for petrol alone?
It's going to be a lot of expense. I think this is the point where people will begin to consider which is more expedient. Do you drive your kids to school or do you find another means of transportation? Because when you're considering the cost of food plus the cost of transportation, then you include the cost of the fees. It's going to be a lot. So this would be the best time to really be honest to yourself and then decide what suits you best. What can you afford?
Exactly. It's not a case of cutting your coat according to
Your cloth.
your cloth. Before now it was cut your coat according to your size. But now you can have big size and you want to, but the reality in the country is such that you have to advise yourself. I think we end at this point today with that beautiful advice from my colleague here, Barrister Mrs. Toyo, wonderful analyst, beautiful lady. You can see her already. And she's speaking, she's being real. She's running a home and she understands exactly what's going on in the country today. So that admonition coming from a woman, I mean, you should just take that. It's a matter of being truthful to yourself today in Nigeria. If you're not truthful to yourself, you see yourself having to run into dates, you have to go and borrow, you have to do this and that. It's not the kind of situation I would love my countrymen and women to face because, like I said, this is not a poor country, this is a rich country by every definition. Nature had long endowed Nigeria with mineral resources that should transform the lives of every person in this country. But this is where we have found ourselves. While we continue to search for quality leadership that will transform this country, the advice now is manage what you have, cut your coat according to the available materials, and then be sure that you don't send your children to schools that you have to be borrowing money to pay school fees. Once you find yourself in that situation, it's not a proper situation to be. There are still good schools around where you live, so allow your children, to be there. Many thanks for watching this very episode. Subscribe to the channel and continue to share the videos that we post here so that together we can have a bigger community where we sit casually like this, informally like this, and discuss issues of importance. Many thanks.